Hello, friends, and welcome to Binge O'Clock, the podcast where we watch something and then we talk about it. I'm Joy Seldin, and I've seen almost everything.
I'm Danielle Ngo, and I've seen almost nothing.
And I'm Quinsey, and I swear I'd seen these episodes before, but then I watched them, and I think I only watched these episodes to remind myself why I don't watch these episodes.
Oh, no. I mean, listen, I've really enjoyed Babylon 5 so far, and I feel like when you have that much show, you're allowed to have a few duds. It's just weird that 3 of them happened in a row.
One right after the other.
Why 3 in a row?
Well, so I'm trying to, remember that, in the days before binge watching a thing, you would wait weeks between episodes. And I feel like you wouldn't, at least a week between episodes. And I feel like you wouldn't necessarily realize how good and or bad these episodes are. I don't think they're particularly bad, personally. I just think they're unmemorable.
They are extremely unmemorable.
What's the difference between any episode that we watched and that episode with Talia and her, mentor who, spaced out because he got too powerful? The formula was almost exactly the same for the 3rd episode we watched.
Fair.
She just didn't have a relationship with the guy who was almost killing her this time.
Yes,
That's
but also
fair.
the guy who was almost killing her this time didn't, morph into a star child and blur away.
True. But we still got conspiracy nonsense.
We got so much
That
conspiracy
still happens.
nonsense.
I have
So
to admit,
much.
I think the 3rd of these 3 episodes is actually the one I find the most tolerable. Probably because it's clear to me that episode is at least there to set up a bunch of other stuff. I'm like, okay, you have a purpose.
Also, Susan is in it.
Also, Susan is in it. You're not wrong.
I know what you like.
Which of the 3 episodes was the one you would have said was the most tolerable?
Oh, the 3rd one. The
third one.
Talia-centric
Okay.
one.
We're in agreement.
Yes. And I'll get into why later.
Yay! Oh, but first we should talk about episode 4, A Distant Star.
Must we? All right. So, A Distant Star overview from the Lurker's Guide to Babylon 5 reads, Disaster strikes an old friend of Captain Sheridan. Dr. Franklin offers nutritional advice to some reluctant patients. And guest stars of note, old friend of Captain Sheridan, Captain Jack Maynard, is played by Russ Tamblyn, best known to viewers from West Side Story, the movie West Side Story, the first one, not the recent remake, the original, where he played Riff, and Twin Peaks, where he played somebody. I don't, and I'm so sorry I never watched Twin Peaks.
It's
and,
okay.
And also, as Joy reminded me earlier today, he was also in the original Robert Wise directed version of The Haunting, a classic of horror film. It's ghost story, haunted house movie that I've never seen, so I'm calling that for Halloween episodes of this podcast, should anybody need a guest host.
I will
Or a ghost host.
Ghost host. I will either tap in or tap out, depending on how actually scary that movie is.
Anyway, Babylon 5.
A Distant Star.
A Distant Star.
The other reason that Russ clocked for me is because I was looking into stuff for The Haunting, and I didn't even clock him for the original Haunting. I clocked him for the Haunting of Hill House series, which he plays a psychiatrist in for 10 seconds. But I was just like, wait, you look familiar. And so when I watched this episode, I was like, hang on, was he in the show already? No? Crap. Where have I seen him before?
I know that face.
I also want to point out that thing that I'm just seeing is that this episode was written by DC Fontana, an old friend from Star Trek and also from season 1, and I would not have known that this was written by her because it's not a good example of her talents, in my opinion.
Everyone has an off day. Everyone's allowed to miss. This was a miss.
This was a miss. This was a miss.
I guess the one thing I'll say about this is I acknowledge that we needed to find out a little bit more about Sheridan's past, right? I think that's why this episode is here. Maybe I should know more about him than he's a war criminal and he likes fruit. Because that's what I've got so far. Now I know more.
We'll get back to the fruit.
I'm sure we will.
We'll get back to the fruit.
We will, because there's definitely some internal inconsistency there.
Yup.
Okay.
So this episode basically exists, as Danielle said, to establish more about Sheridan as a person, outside of him being a war vet, in the eyes of the Minbari, a war criminal, and also to kind of like punch a hole in his excitement about being in charge of Babylon 5, because his buddy Jack comes back from 5 years exploring on the rim of known space, and he's all like, talking about how, well, what are you doing here? You weren't trained to run an outpost like this. You're supposed to be a starship captain. And Sheridan starts getting all pissy and huffy about it and feeling cramped by his new job.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so boring.
It's so boring, and I don't know how to fix it because I'm not a writer or a TV writer. I'm happy that they introduced something else to Sheridan's character, because I didn't really want him to just be like, I love aliens, I love fruit, like that's all it was.
I
for
love
so
my
long.
dead wife.
Exactly. I needed more. I don't know. I think maybe it needed to be packaged differently. I'm not really sure what I wanted here.
I think the disconnect here is that they didn't. I would be very curious to see what ended up on the cutting room floor, because this feels like it was a longer episode and certain other things got shoehorned in.
There's a lot going on here that feels very unconnected to each other.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's also like, you brought in Sheridan's friend just for him to leave and get in trouble, just for him to come back, just for them to then leave again. And I'm just like, I feel like there was more. I feel like there's pieces missing.
Yeah. And also the whole Sheridan feeling suddenly cramped by his job, or feeling cramped by his job. I feel like, and again, this was not a binge show. It wasn't designed to be a watch in one sitting kind of show, but it was designed to be serialized, and it is serialized. One episode follows the other, and you can't really mix them up. I feel like they could have stretched out Sheridan feeling, dealing with growing pains
for more than an episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's wrapped up very neat. That's the thing about all of these episodes, actually. With the exception of the third one. They're all wrapped up very neatly by the end. This episode kind of exists for, in the grand scheme of the show and the various plot arcs, this show kind of exists for two specific reasons. One, it's to have Keffer, Warren Keffer, the fighter pilot, the one who doesn't die.
Yeah.
And gets brought, he finds his way back because he sees one of the shadow vessels.
Right.
In hyperspace, and he's able to follow it back to the station. This episode exists to have somebody from the station, actually from one of the military people, actually see a shadow vessel. And it also exists, in my opinion, for one scene where we have one of the Minbari on the station come to Delenn and say, we're not sure if we really trust you anymore because we don't know if you're actually a Minbari anymore.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
And
you're right.
That, to me, that should have been the B plot. Instead, there were a couple little scenes with Delenn that were more of a C plot. And I think Delenn should have been the B plot as opposed to the B plot that we actually got.
I do wonder what would have happened had we still had the original, had we still had Jeff as
we miss you, Jeff.
As he gets referred to a couple of times.
Pour one out.
Pour one out for Jeff.
He's not dead. Character's not dead yet. We're just gonna pour one out.
No, just kidding.
Character doesn't. No, I will say that much. The character doesn't die.
Ah, okay. Well, I mean, we sort of already know how he dies because of that weird little time loopy situation. Not how he dies, but...
No, you don't. No, you
okay.
don't.
I was like,
Nope.
I mean, that tells me that he's not going to die before then, question mark? I don't know.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, but the thing
All
is,
I'm
too,
saying.
like, this is why some of these episodes feel like a season 1 episode to me, because it's like, again, you have to reintroduce your leading man. So I think if Delenn had had Jeff there, we probably would have gotten a lot more, like, you know.
There is a very nice scene at the end where Sheridan and Delenn have their first real conversation. And he's feeling bad about that one of the Star Fury pilots didn't make it back, and he's feeling, the weight and the responsibility of that as their commanding officer. And Delenn is grappling with a lot of her own stuff right now because she's a new being, basically. And they have this lovely little conversation about change and growth and the universe putting people in the right place when they're needed. I don't want to say she quotes Carl Sagan because she doesn't quote Carl Sagan,
No,
but the thing that
sentiment is there.
what she says is drawn from the Carl Sagan quote, and it's we are star stuff. We are the stuff that the universe is made of. And it's a very lovely sentiment, and it's clearly very comforting to Sheridan.
It's comforting, and I like that she sort of puts a Minbari twist on it, because it's like, we're star stuff, but the way she phrases it is as if the universe is a sentient being in a way. And it's like, the universe has to figure out itself through us.
Yes, and that's also the essence of Minbari theology.
The original Carl Sagan quote, just before I forget to actually say it, is the cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff. We are a way for the universe to know itself, which is one of my top. Actually, no, the top Carl Sagan quote. I love that quote. It's one of my favorite things.
It's the best. The Egyptian blessing that Sheridan quotes, on the other hand, it's a blessing that comes from a Harlan Ellison short story called The Paladin of the Lost Hour. Harlan Ellison, very famous, classic, slightly gonzo sci-fi writer, good friends with J. Michael Straczynski. So Harlan Ellison was actually the credited creative consultant for this show.
Oh yeah, I think you mentioned that.
And fun fact, Straczynski was Ellison's literary executor upon his death.
Ooh.
So that's some trivia for your bar trivia night.
I love that they were friends because they're two completely different people. I love that so much.
They are, and yet they're not. Okay, we did all the important stuff. Can we just rant for a minute?
Yes. Because
Sure.
I feel like each of us is sort of like avoiding it a little bit.
The B-plot of this episode is Dr. Franklin deciding to craft a food plan for the executive level officers. And it's only an hour. It's only a 50-minute show, so that is Sheridan, Ivanova, and Garibaldi. He tells Garibaldi that he needs to lay off of fats, starches, and I think red meat. And then he tells Ivanova that she actually needs to bulk up more because she is vitamin deficient and protein deficient, and she's upset about this because it means she'll gain weight. First of all, let me just say that I am genuinely surprised that Ivanova doesn't punch the doctor in the face. Because when she says, I'll gain weight, all my life I fought against imperialism, now I am the expanding Russian front. Which is a very, that's a good line. And then without missing a beat, Franklin says yes, but with very nice borders. And yes, and he tells Sheridan that he's overweight by 10 pounds and needs to eat more vegetables, more salads. And Sheridan is upset by this and calls it rabbit food. Sheridan is just being framed as a good old meat and potatoes boy makes absolutely no sense. This was a man who literally raided the station's hydroponics garden the second he stepped onto the station. And he is in romantic love with oranges. number one, why is he coming down so hard on rabbit food? Number two, how is he already not eating enough vegetables? He should be like, if anything, Franklin should be telling him you have a protein deficient diet because you're living off of fruit.
Yes. And instead, Franklin tells him the opposite, which is that he's eating too much red meat. It's ridiculous.
Yep. It's very silly.
Ridiculous.
Also, I am going to stick up for Garibaldi in a very minor way.
Okay.
You don't tell an Italian to stop eating bread. That is a death sentence. Just no. It's also not just great medical advice. And then Garibaldi ends up being the only one who actually gets his own way.
By telling a sob story.
He tells a sob story, and I'm just like, why didn't you tell him that at the beginning?
A, yes. B, I was convinced for several minutes that this sob story was something Garibaldi 100% made up just to get his way. And then it turns out it's true. And I'm okay with that, but I do a tiny bit wish that Garibaldi had successfully lied. Exactly. Duped Franklin. That would have been pretty funny.
It's always very, I don't know if it's the actor or if it's just these like the dialogue in this actor's mouth, which I guess amounts to the same thing, but it's very much he would not frickin' say that. Garibaldi saying things with complete and utter sincerity comes off so false to me. Yes, that's exactly it. That's why I thought he was lying. That's why I thought he was just playing a trick on Franklin. You know what this actually reminds me of? I think this reminds me of something you were talking about a few podcast episodes ago, Ethan, where you were saying that, like, this show isn't really about the characters and their development. This show is really about the story. So sometimes characters are, like, randomly popped into situations simply because the situation must happen. Now, this situation did not need to happen. We could have deleted this aspect of the episode.
Yeah.
But that's what this felt like to me. It felt like the writers were like, oh, here's sort of a funny situation. And then they just popped Ivanova, Sheridan, and Garibaldi in there.
I feel like the early 90s just struck a chord with dieting in such a way that they were like, I guess we have to comment on this. And I was like, or you don't have to. You don't have to touch this. And actually, I had trouble with these episodes tonight, and I kept pausing them and restarting them to try and hold my interest. And I was complaining to Rosemary, to my wife Rosemary, about the diet plot line in particular, and I had to transcribe her own mini rant, which is that if Straczynski had done a better job fleshing out how Babylon 5, the station, functioned as an entity, then he would have had more B and C plots to just sort of pick from, as opposed to reaching into the bag of 90s sitcom beef plots. We could have had riveting water reclamation plots. More stuff about agriculture.
Give me more.
How is the bloody hedge maze functioning? How is it maintained? I'm never getting off of the hedge maze.
You're never going to get off of the hedge maze. No. And I'm never not then going to mention the paper. Because the paper.
However, this is actually an important episode for one other reason. This is the episode when they start slowly transitioning over to plastic flimsies.
Oh, well, I guess they realized it makes absolutely no sense to print and recycle paper on a space station.
Absolutely no sense.
Like, what if you didn't?
And I think that might be everything about this episode.
Yeah. I'm ready to move on to episode 5.
I feel like Orwell was somebody I've seen again and again and again. Miguel Nunez Jr. I mean, he was in Harlem Nights, which might be where I remember seeing him.
He's been in a million things. It's just nothing that I have seen.
I went through a whole phase where I almost watched nothing but Harlem Nights for like a month. I was obsessed with Harlem Nights. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just like, if it was Richard Pryor. Like, I don't know. My whole brain was just like, I need all of this in my brain over and over again. So I'm sure I just probably remember him from Harlem Nights most of all.
Yeah. Oh, wow. But he really has been in a billion things.
He's been in a million things, yeah.
Well, I'm so glad
he's getting the work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Successful working actor. On that note.
The long dark.
The long dark. All right, overview. When a cryonic sleeper is awakened, a deadly evil force is unleashed on the station. This episode, I forget this episode exists. I forget. I do. I look through the episode listings and I'm like, what the hell is that?
I mean, to your point,
that one.
Like at least in the first of these 3 episodes, it's like, all right, we finally see one of the mysterious, scary ships, right? And we get some character development for Sheridan. And in the third one, they're setting things up. But what happened in this episode?
I mean, technically, it's setting up more about Zahadum, but
with like one
setting
line.
Up
yeah.
Well, I mean, they kill a creature that could be a part of the rift continuum, which we know nothing about.
Yeah,
and we know, like now we know some more about it, like that it seems to be made of like energy and stuff, that it can feed off of people, that it can be like, whoops, where are your organs at?
Yeah,
like. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I got more information about that. To be fair, though, they kind of just shot at a spotlight, so I feel like I learned nothing.
Like, by the by, I have to say, why were they convinced that they had successfully killed this thing? There was no body on the ground. I didn't see an explosion. It just disappeared. What?
We never hear about this. We never hear about this creature again. We never see anything like it again.
Really?
Of course we don't.
Never. We also never meet the woman again.
Well, I mean
that makes sense. Thank God.
Basically, anybody.
I don't want her with Franklin anyway, so I guess that's fine.
But the thing is, basically, like I feel like this is like a running gag in another show that is escaping me right now. But basically, any woman that Franklin shows interest in, we will never see again.
Oh my gosh. Well, maybe he should stop hitting on people like right after devastating things happen to them and while they're in the midst of distress. You know, like
he has a type.
Stop trauma bonding with his patients.
He has a type, and that's not healthy.
Yeah. But you know what was good about this episode? Anne-Marie Johnson. Love seeing her face. She's another one that's been like, she was in a million things. Specifically in the 80s and 90s. But even, I believe she had, I don't know if it was a recurring role, but she was also definitely in Fringe. She was in, the thing I most remember her from is In Living Color, where I'm pretty sure she ended up being a straight man most of the time, which honestly is like, I feel like that's really difficult. That's a skill. Good for you. She's also in like How to Get Away with Murder, which just came out recently, like, but if you go back to, like, the 90s and the 80s, it's, like, every single thing. Like, there's X-Files in there. There's Jag. There's, oh, my God, Living Single, In Living Color, Strictly Business. Like, her list is long.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, like, over 100 entries. Talk about a working actress. But I think she's most popular for In the Heat of the Night, which I didn't really watch that much. And Jag.
She's also, it looks like her longest role was actually in the mid-'80s on What's Happening Now.
I just love that she gets so much comedy work.
Does this count? I
love that.
I feel like this should count.
As comedy
love
work?
it.
Which is, I have to say, that is not a dig on the actor. It is a dig on the episode.
Yes.
No,
100%.
yeah. Well,
I need to make that clear.
I'll put it this way. We've had a bunch of actresses not do their parts terribly well on this show already.
Oh, yeah.
There have been a bunch of guest stars that have just been like, all right. You know, and you don't know if that's like, is it the writing? Is it the direction? I feel like she really worked with what they gave her.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, I would just like to point out that Dwight Schultz is playing Amos?
Amos.
Which is spelled weird.
Yes.
He's playing Amos, the severely PTSD damaged lurker. He's like traumatic middle combat brain injury lurker in this episode. Dwight Schultz, best known to sci-fi fans as Reginald Barclay from Star Trek The Next Generation. and Voyager. This was a good show for character actors in the 90s. Or just jobbing actors.
Yeah.
But I took approximately 4 notes for this episode, so whenever you want to move on, I'm good.
Yeah, no, this episode was
it's a big old nothing monster of the week episode.
Well, it also just generally really sucked for the character development, where it's, and it just really starts to show that you're not keeping your characters consistent.
No.
It's just so weird because Franklin tends to generally be a relatively stand-up guy, sort of, kind of. But these 3 episodes, I was just like, oh boy, man, why are you here? Where's your replacement?
Or even when Sheridan is being sort of a butt, for lack of a better way to describe it, he usually is because he's sticking.
Do you
very
mean Franklin?
Yes, I meant Franklin. It's because he's very much sticking to his science, right? Or his understanding of medicine. And then this episode, for some reason, we just didn't get that version of him. It was strange. You're right. It was
so
strange.
Weird.
It was very odd.
But again, this crops up, and I don't know why I'm surprised. Because I first noticed it with Malari, I think. When it was just he was talking about his wives, he chose them for their birthright and for how much money they had and for status. And then he also mentioned 3 episodes later how he married a woman for dancing on a table because she was pretty. And I was like, hang on a second.
I will say that one comes up again.
But does he have 4 or does he have 3?
He has 3.
Okay, so question mark.
Yes.
So he was just lying to the young boy and being like, they've all got status. And I'm like, except for the one that you just them body.
It does get mentioned in an episode later on, but we'll get to that.
Gotcha. But yeah, we can start talking about Spider in the Web, if you like. This one was actually really funny for me, kind of.
Oh, good.
This one was... Okay, well, let me do the overview.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Lurker's Guide overview. Talia is caught in a treacherous web of intrigue after she witnesses a murder. We have some fun guest stars in this one. We have Adrienne Barbeau as Amanda Carter. We have Michael Beck as Abel Horn. And we have the late, great Jessica Walter as Senator Voudreau.
Fantastic.
Adrienne Barbeau, I assume, known for a bunch of John Carpenter films, as well as a million other things. Michael Beck, probably best known for roles in the movies The Warriors. Come out to play.
I've seen that. I just didn't recognize.
Yep. Also, Sunny from Xanadu.
Have not seen that.
And Jessica Walter, extremely long career of about 50 or 60 years, also in all of the things ever made, but probably most known to our listeners from Arrested Development as Lucille Bluth, and Archer as Mallory Archer. God bless her. This one doesn't. This episode doesn't have a B plot. It doesn't have a C plot. It has an A plot. It has one long, kind of dragging, but otherwise interesting A plot.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I have actually finished the Becoming Superman book, which I highly recommend to people if you can actually get through his absolutely awful childhood.
I might go and actually read the hardback instead of trying to listen to it, so then I can skim.
Fair.
Oh, interesting. Okay. That's fair. I actually finished the book, and it was really interesting to hear him talk about the actors, and I really liked it because you also have Peter Jurassic reading it on the audio novel, which is great because it's, it's like by the time we get to Babylon 5, these are all people he also knows, and,
yes.
It's really nice to have him say Joe's words. But I got to the part where they were talking about season 2. They had cast this new actor as their lead, and then they started talking about, so we had to cast a few other people to kind of break it up. And they talk about Jeff Conaway.
Yep.
And so I start watching this episode. Jeff Conaway, Danielle, is from
Grease.
You've seen Grease, right?
Yeah.
He's Kaneki.
Okay, if I
He's
pull
the
up his...
get a hickey from Kaneki.
Gotcha.
He's Rizzo's boyfriend.
That's his biggest role.
Yeah.
But he well, actually, I shouldn't say that. He was also on Taxi for a number of years. Did very well on Taxi, but he had a substance problem. So, he was coming off sort of Taxi after taking a break from acting, and he was like, I kind of want to get back into it. So they end up hiring him for Babylon 5. And I kept staring at the guest star in this episode because Joe had sort of described, like, we had Jeff Conaway kind of on, like, in a little bit of a throwaway part to make sure he actually showed up, and these other things to make sure he was reliable. And I'm, like, staring, I'm like, that's not Kaneki? I'm just going to say it. It's like some of it's a little bit white guy blindness where they both have somewhat strong jaws. And I was just like, that's not, no. Yes? No.
Were you getting Jeff Conaway and Michael Beck mixed up?
Well, I was staring at Michael Beck going, that's not Jeff Conaway. So when does he show up? But the thing is he shows up right at the end of the episode.
Yes.
He is one of the guards who's like, hey, the power levels are getting really high just before the explosion.
He is Zach Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he becomes important.
Funny.
Yeah, that is. What I think is funny is that they both were in movie musicals with Olivia Newton-John.
They have that in common.
What a funny, very specific thing to have in common with someone else.
Yes. Super, super specific. Very niche. This is a probably a solid B- for me as far as episodes go.
Yeah.
Probably the best one, quote unquote, of the 3 we've watched.
Yeah.
It has a plot, so good job.
It does.
And a plot that doesn't make me mad.
A plot that doesn't make us mad for the most part. There's one part of it that makes me mad. I bet y'all could guess what it is. And it's a plot that feels important and is set up for future episodes, and I'm always happy with a plot like that. Unlike an invisible monster that disappears forever and we never hear about ever again. Not a huge fan of that. Anyone want to take a guess about what
mad? Was it when they killed Asogi?
Well,
that made me mad.
That made me sad. Not mad.
Fair.
Was it when Garibaldi was trying to be a flirt in the elevator after Talia's lost her friend horribly in front of her face?
That is correct. And it was funny because it was not funny, not funny, that it was literally 2 episodes in a row where there was a woman distress, and the first guy who comes along is like, let me hit on her. And I'm like, stop. What if you didn't?
Man, is that very 90s, or is that just very even retrograde for the 90s?
No, it's very 90s.
Okay.
It's very 90s. I feel like growing up watching stuff like that has desensitized me to it so much. Again, like, what did I first say when, like, we were first watching Garibaldi? I was like, oh, he's the everyman. He's the guy I watched that it would just be like, yeah, he's a regular dude. He's the dude you hang out with. And, like, with 2024 glasses being like, oh, yeah, no, we don't want to hang out with Garibaldi. We don't like Garibaldi.
All cops really are bad. Even space cops.
Even space cops.
Yes.
So when, at the beginning of the episode, when Talia and Mr. Asogi first are talking to each other, I thought what he says to her is, how do you like my new Mars proposal? I didn't have captions on. What I thought he said was, how did you like my new marriage proposal?
You're like, whoa.
And I'm like, wait, what? I'm confused. I do not remember this at all. That is not where the episode goes. In any way, shape, or form. I enjoyed the moment where Sheridan is sitting down with Ivanova talking about the new delegation of aliens to the station, and how when he was in CO of the Agamemnon, he actually made first contact with this new species. And I just liked his little Captain Kirk moment of talking about meeting new aliens, and no, we never see the species. I'm so upset.
I know.
We never see them.
But at the same time,
but it's so cute.
It's cute, and it's very Sheridan.
It's extremely Sheridan.
This was very much in character.
Yes, it was absolutely in character for him. It was a good character moment. I'm not upset about it. It was adorable. He is, and I don't mean this in a derivative or condescending way, he is very Captain Kirkish in those specific moments where he's talking about how much he really finds fascinating about his job.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Like, at his heart, he actually is just sort of a nerd.
He is. He absolutely is, and I love it. Let's see. Oh, when the Michael Beck character, Abel Horn, Abel Horn is basically a reprogrammed, almost dead man who was basically programmed to be a zombie cyborg assassin, is the short version. He's a zombie cyborg assassin.
Does this tech come back?
Not that I recall. I don't think so.
I guess it was essentially a failed experiment, right?
Yeah, it was very, very, very deep covert ops. And Bureau 13, who is supposedly in charge of it, is never mentioned again either, but there's actually there's a production reason for that, and I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
When he goes to the public computer terminal off of the Zocalo and asks it to tell him where Talia is on the station, my 2024 brain just reeled back in horror at the level of surveillance, the level of invasion of privacy, because it's a public terminal.
But didn't the weird computer voice actually give him the information? Like
No.
the weird spectral computer?
No, because by the time he gets to the command, command, locate Talia Winters, that's just the normal station computer.
Oh, okay.
I don't think
wonder
I
if it's
realized
because
that.
We see this a lot. We've seen this before. Like,
Yeah.
a first episode of this season when the Renegade Minbari captain just asked the computer, "Where's the ambassadorial wing? How do I find Ambassador Delenn?"
Yeah, you're not wrong.
These are security risks.
I didn't really put two and two together, probably, truthfully, because I wasn't always looking at the screen when watching this episode either. So I
That's
just
fine.
sort of assumed that the cyborg assassin was still talking to Bureau 13, or what we discover as Bureau 13.
Yep.
But no, you're not. And when thinking about where's the ambassador wing, my interpretation of that moment was just almost like going to a mall and seeing where a certain thing is. I thought he was just getting directed to the ambassador wing, not to Ambassador Delenn. Does that make sense?
I mean, the ambassadorial wing is a place that he as a civilian is not supposed to be, so why are they telling people where it is?
I guess. Yeah,
I guess
no,
it's a
you're
little
not
bit
wrong.
like doxing people.
It's a little bit. It's a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's just I just want to know why. And yes, Talia is a commercial telepath. She's there to do business. But if they're asking, they're not asking, where is the commercial telepath office?
Mm-hmm.
They are saying, where is Talia Winters on the station right
Right
now?
now. Yeah.
And that is horrific.
Definitely. Ooh, yeah.
Okay. There's a whole Mars plot that's going on here. There's the whole, Mr. Sogi is the CEO of a corporation, and he is meeting with a representative of a Mars. I don't know if it's a government body. I couldn't quite figure it out. It's not.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
It's a legally recognized body. Let's put it that way. Like a legally recognized council, government adjacent.
This fandom site I'm looking at lists it as the Mars Provisional Government, if that's at all helpful. Okay.
That works. We'll go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he has a plan that will help Mars attain independence from Earth within, I think he says, a decade, and it's going to be a bloodless transition of power.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something that the Adrienne Barbeau character, Amanda Carter, is very invested in. And throughout the entire series, the question of Mars comes up again and again and again, you know, and the Free Mars movement comes up again and again and again. And my problem with this plot line, with this through line, is that I never care I can never care about Mars. And the reason is because we never see the same Martian, native-born Mars characters twice.
Well,
so they don't make it matter.
They mix and match, like, who cares about Mars.
Yeah.
Because, like, last time it was Garibaldi, who, like, you know...
Does Garibaldi care about Mars, or does he care about the girl that got away?
I mean, that's a fair question, but he had opinions about the people who were like, Mars, 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 Mars.
Yes.
You know, like, and here he has zero opinions. He's just trying to hit on Talia. You know what I'm saying? It's just a little weird for him to hear, like, Free Mars and have zero opinion.
Yeah.
Or consistent that he's distracted by a woman both times.
I mean,
I guess. But it, like,
also, yes.
But, you know, the characters are just kind of interchangeable at that point.
They
it's
are.
Like, Sheridan has to have the opinion about Mars.
But it's like, we never get a recurring character who's from maybe more than 3 episodes. We never get a consistently recurring character who was born on Mars and who considers it their home and their home world. We never get let alone a cast member.
Oh, fair, because we lost Sinclair.
Even Sinclair
he was born on Mars, right?
He was born on Mars, but he was a military brat. He moved around all the time. He didn't really consider Mars his home. It was his birthplace, but it wasn't his home. Oh, I was going to talk about the Bureau 13 thing.
Ah, yes.
So, I am on the Lurker's Guide now. I am reading from the JMS Speak section, which was taken from Usenet and CompuServe chats at the time that this show was aired. Apparently, Bureau 13 was an RPG.
I believe that.
He was not aware of this when he did the episode. They just thought that they came up with, you know, this idea of Bureau 13 because it sounded cool.
Oh.
And later they found out there was a game by that name. And then they decided that it would not be appropriate to use the name again, so they just didn't.
But does that mean that they just rename it in future episodes, or does that just get highlight deleted?
Honestly, I'm not sure. You know, according to him, you know, and this makes sense to me, like, logically, any secret group is going to change its name from time to time anyway, because it's not like they're in the yellow pages. Which is a very 90s thing to say. So I do genuinely think that that particular Black Ops organization is still around, but they never talk about it again. They may, if they refer to it, it's either under a completely different moniker, or it's such an oblique reference that I've missed it over 20 years.
Interesting. I mean, I'll keep an eye/ear out. Not sure I'll pick up on anything. So then I guess the thread that continues is that one Psycor person?
Oh no, we never see her again either.
Oh.
Never see her again. We also never see the bombed out husk of San Diego again.
Oh, that was so sad.
That was really sad.
Yeah, somebody asked him why he bombed out San Diego, and he said, I lived there for 5 years. It was just a friendly nod to the old town.
Is that friendly? Is that what we would call a friendly nod?
Friendly.
Friendly.
I think he's being sarcastic.
Yes, just a tad. And I have one major gripe with, two major gripes. Going back to the thing about Mars and never having a consistent recurring character, I think if they hadn't cast Adrienne Barbeau as Amanda Carter, they could have afforded to bring back Amanda Carter as a recurring character, and they should have.
She's a great character, yeah.
She was a fantastic character. We learned a lot about her in a very short amount of time. And Talia hugged her at the end of the episode.
And said they would talk again.
And said they would talk later.
Mm-hmm.
We could have had friends. We found out a little bit about Talia's childhood in this episode. How she was raised from the Psi Corps from the age of 5. Meaning that she was taken from her parents when she was 5 years old.
Yeah.
And brought to be raised by the Corps. And she talks about this one older woman named Abby who basically took care of her for her first year. And then she got assigned to somebody else.
I mean, took care of her for her first year, but in a way that was deeply manipulative. And Talia just says it in the episode. She says, like, I didn't know that this woman was scanning me, but all of a sudden I felt warm and comfortable. And I'm like, oh, so you were
honey.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. And it was deeply manipulative. But at the same time, what struck me was that after a year, this woman, Abby, was reassigned to another newcomer, another new inductee. And Talia's, basically her whole life has been one experience, one lost loved one after another.
Mm-hmm. She really has.
Wait till we get to the next episode.
Okay.
I'm also sitting here like, some of the character inconsistencies are starting to become glaring.
Yes.
Because I'm like, oh, but we first met Talia Winters, and she was just like, why don't you like the Psi Corps? And I was just like, oh, man, okay. Like,
I will say,
it could be a bonding moment, or it could just be, maybe we'll invent a character reason later.
I will say, Talia's inconsistencies make sense later.
I mean, I'm almost 100% sure there's some kind of Shadowheart wall on. Sorry, no one on this call will understand that. So
I at least understand where the reference comes from.
So Baldur's Gate 3, spoilers for Baldur's Gate 3, Shadowheart, the character, has like an entire has like basically almost no personality because like she's kind of been wiped clean. And she eventually gets her memories back, but she plays it very kind of close to the chest of like, you know, it's like at least you knew your parents kind of thing, and not realizing everyone is just like, wait, do you have no memory of your parents? But yeah, no, I'm sure there's manipulation of like there's a chair that's not really there, and she just keeps coming back to that chair kind of thing.
There are 4 lights. Yeah, exactly.
That's exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And like, is there anything else? Oh, just one little moment. When Sheridan's asking Ivanova if Talia can be trusted, and just asking her about Talia in general, I love how flustered Susan gets. And Sheridan has known Susan for years. He knew her longer than Sinclair did.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he knows how she feels about telepaths. Like, that I like that they made Sheridan somebody that Ivanova knew previously.
Yeah,
so
I like that too.
So we wouldn't have to go through all of her crap with him again.
I weirdly didn't pick up that they knew each other beforehand. Was that said and I just missed it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He's her former commanding officer.
Like she was really happy to see him when he showed up.
I vaguely recall that.
Yeah.
I only remember it distinctly because they made a clear distinction between Garibaldi and Ivanova in that sense.
Right.
Like Garibaldi was immediately walls up, hackles up, and Ivanova was like, Sheridan, my old buddy, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Lastly, what I said to you at the beginning of this call, which is that Sheridan is a complete tinfoil hat conspiracy nut TikToker.
Does that come back?
I don't remember. I don't remember, to be honest with you, but I think it might, just not in the same sense of him, not in the same sense of this being presented as his hobby.
Oh, okay.
I
hope it does, because that does it again. I think that is an interesting aspect of his character, and they very neatly wrapped up, as you pointed out, the fact that he feels like he's beached. So if this is the new interesting thing about him, fantastic. But if it doesn't come back, I'm like, so what have we got here?
I think it might come back in the sense of this is how they're going to justify him having a lot of weird knowledge about Black Ops programs. Okay, I think I'm done. Anything else I'm going to say, I'm going to save for one more thing.
Well, is it time for one more things?
I feel like it is.
So I will simply mention one thing that bugged me. One more thing that bugged me. And I know that it's all just set dressing and it doesn't really matter. But the fact that the doctors' masks are literally just like sheer pieces of cloth that sit over the lower half of their faces
bothers you,
really makes me laugh.
That's a very pre-COVID doctor's mask.
Very pre-COVID. It like reminds me of like the little net mask that Birdie's character wears in Glass Onion. You know, it's like it is not doing anything. It
literally
is just
rich person mask. I'm doing something. No, you're not.
I'm reasonably sure that the masks were designed that way so that every time Franklin has a mask on, we can actually see his face and his expressions. But it was very silly. And that's it. That's my one more thing.
I think my one more thing is the connection from the first episode and the second episode that we watched. Because when I first saw the starship show up that Sheridan's old Captain Maynard shows up in, that reminded me of some of the exploration vessels that we are NASA is currently launching into space. Like that, the design of that ship looked like something that would actually go on a long range space mission, and I thought that was really cool. And then I was like, oh, wait a second. It's not long range. All right, but that's fine. I mean, like, at least it kind of looks cool. And then in the second episode, we get a 100-year-old sleeper ship. And I'm like, okay, hang on. You missed your opportunity in the last episode to have this ship look like that ship. But it's fine. I'm not bitter.
Not bitter. Not at all.
I do think the cool thing about the Earth Force ships in this show are that they did actually try to ground them in current science of the 1990s. And one of the things that is, I think, unique to this show is that almost any ship, large ship, that is constructed by Earth, including Babylon 5, has a rotating section to create artificial gravity.
Yeah.
Smaller Earth vessels, you will always see the pilot and passengers strapped in, and that isn't for safety, it's to keep them from floating all over the place.
Right. Well,
it's also for safety.
And for safety.
Yes. All right, and my one more thing is there's a throwaway line in A Spider in the Web where Isogi mentions that Amanda Carter's great-grandfather, I believe, or great-great-grandfather, some ancestor, piloted the first colony ship to Mars, and he refers to him by the name John. John Carter is a character from Edgar Rice Burroughs' Barsoom novels. Is John Carter of Mars, A Princess of Mars,
like a pulp science fiction?
It's like
figure.
pre-pulp. Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote the Tarzan novels.
Fair.
So it's very and the original John Carter was actually a Civil War soldier who suddenly ended up on Mars somehow. We did this mysterious, like he went into a cave and so in like Arkansas, and suddenly he was on Mars. But I just and it's just a throwaway line. It's just a cute little reference to old sci-fi. But I just thought it raised all kinds of fun questions about where this show could have gone with that if it wasn't a silly throwaway line, but if it was actually like establishing the canon that the Barsoom novels were the actual Mars in this universe.
like the Klingons saying like revenge is a dish best served cold.
Yes, and how Shakespeare is better than the original Klingon.
Yeah.
Because yes, and that's a harmless conspiracy theory right there is
I know.
is that Shakespeare. Shakespeare was
Shakespeare.
was originally a Klingon poet that the humans somehow co-opted 400 years before First Contact. But yeah, like the Barsoom novels are nuts. They are very imperialistic. They are extremely racist. They also involve like four-armed green centaur things. Voiced by Willem Dafoe in a terrible Disney adaptation of the John Carter novels, I believe.
Well, there was the John Carter movie in 2012.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. Which is a hell of a thing.
Yeah, it exists. Which is about all I can say about it for certain.
Saw it. I know I bought a movie theater ticket to see it. I know I physically saw it in the theaters. Could not tell you at all what it's about. The only reason I know there are those weird giant ape monkeys is because they're on the poster. I literally remember nothing from the movie. And
I feel like I'm correct.
Which is so sad.
I feel like I'm correct in remembering that Willem Dafoe voiced one of the four-armed green centaur.
Yeah. Willem
thingies.
Dafoe is Tars Takas, I believe. Takas.
Burroughs is running out of syllables for names.
I also love that Taylor Kirsch is in that movie.
I think he's the lead.
Yeah.
He's there as John Carter.
Literally
just
a
shirtless.
dude who's like slightly to the left of white guy blindness. Mm-hmm. It's like he's done actually, in fact, a ton of work. But you always, or at least I do, I always think he looks like another actor. And I feel really bad because I keep calling him completely different names from his actual name.
In that movie, I felt like he looked like a lighter brunette version of Brendan Fraser in George of the Jungle.
You may not be wrong.
That was my one more thing. It was
nice.
Pointless sci-fi tangents.
Oh, please.
But that's what you're all here for.
That's what we're here for. And, I have to say, I got characteristically quiet during that one more thing for two reasons. One is that I was listening, but clearly I'm missing certain touch points, and so wasn't able to contribute. But the other thing is, I feel like I have to do a little bit of research, because when you specifically mentioned, like, spinning spacecraft, so then I ended up in a little internet spiral where I was trying to figure out who was the first one who was the first one who suggested
into a TV series?
Not only to put it in a TV series or a book or something that then created all of the actual theory behind it. And the last thing I clicked on is a 19-page document from NASA titled History of Artificial Gravity. And you know what? Maybe next time I will come with an answer to this question, but I am not going to find the answer now.
I don't suppose that's that. But is that our question, or do we have a different question to leave our listeners with?
Well, no. This is just Danielle's homework.
This is my homework.
I'm working. That was my segue.
It was a good segue.
That's fair. Sorry, I stepped on it, but I was like, wait, she has like 7 other things to say before she says the question. Hang on. You also have to tell us where to find you, Ethan.
We'll fix this in post. You can find me at patreon.com/Ethan Quinsey, and I'm also Ethan Quinsey on Blue Sky, and if you're not a coward, you can find me at Gaslight Gallows on Tumblr.
And if you're looking for more Bach Pod, we would love to hear from you. Please check us out at Pinch O'Clock Pod on Twitter and Facebook, where you can answer the question, what is your favorite harmless conspiracy theory? You can also email us at bingeoclockpod@gmail.com. And don't forget, we have a Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/BachPod.
That's right. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your loved ones. Tell the live lobsters in your life about Binge O'Clock, and we will see you next time.